I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up health. Mood swings, wrinkles, and testosterone, oh my. Tonight we turn our attention to a conversation that rarely makes it into queer spaces, but absolutely should. Aging, hormones, emotional health, and the way masculinity is taught to men across generations, including gay, bi, trans, and queer men. A recent article published by HuffPost is bringing renewed attention to something called Irritable Male Syndrome, often referred to as IMS. While it is not a clinical diagnosis, and I'm not clinical, experts say it describes a very rare cluster of symptoms affecting many men as they age. For LGBTQ plus people who already navigate stigma around mental health, vulnerability, and aging bodies, this conversation hits especially close to home. According to HuffPost, Irritable Male Syndrome is described as, quote, a cluster of symptoms that often appears in aging men, end quote, tied largely to gradual testosterone decline and shifting hormones. The symptoms listed in the article include irritability, depression, low energy, cognitive fog, sleep disturbances, reduced libido, and changes in body composition. These are symptoms many queer men already understand but often experience in silence. The article notes that testosterone levels begin declining about 1% per year after the age of 40, with most men noticing the symptoms between 40 and 60. That timeline overlaps directly when many gay and bisexual men report increased anxiety about aging, desirability, and relevance in communities that have historically centered on youth. James Davis, a coaching psychologist, explains why IMS often goes unnoticed. He says testosterone decline is more of a, quote, slow drip, end quote, compared to menopause. For LGBTQ plus men, that slow drip is layered with other pressures. A dating culture that prioritizes youth, healthcare symptoms that often lack cultural competence, and a generation of men who were taught that vulnerability is weakness. This article frames emotional changes as health issues deserving care, conversation, and compassion instead of character flaws. LGBTQ plus communities must be part of this conversation and not an afterthought. Well, in reading this article, one thing I thought about was, because, I was married for 32 years, so it was always, always heard about menopause. I'm like, okay, this is menopause, clearly, IMS, but we can all relate, I'm sure. They talk about us men when we have our midlife crisis, but when they start talking about the symptoms, I'm looking through those, and being the young 62-year-old that I am today, those symptoms are aging. They really are all those same symptoms we see when we're aging, but it's interesting that they're tying it to this.
Yeah. Like you said, there really is a thing as menopause.
Right. Yeah.
It's not just menopause.
Right.
I've had irritability with men before, but I think it's a little different.
Yes.
I think this brings up the question, they talk about, the stigmas around, talking about mental health and talking about health in general. And I think a lot of people in general, especially men, are afraid to talk to their doctors. And when the doctors go, is there anything wrong? They say,
right.
Exactly.
So, especially for LGBTQ men, if you're getting tested regularly already to stay on PrEP or any other of your medications, you're tested now every 3 months because every medication out there affects your liver or kidneys. And some add the testosterone check. It's something that you're drawing your blood already. Just have that conversation. It's okay to get older. And the thing is you're not the only one getting older. Right. I'm Benjamin Button. I'm getting younger every day.
Of course.
So, my 52 is going to turn 25 here soon. But, in all honesty, there is this stigma around health in general for men, especially because, again, culturally we're taught you have to be strong, you have to be this, you have to be that. And you don't talk about these things, even to the people who actually know what's going on. They don't know what's going on unless you say something. So...
it's interesting because I've talked to doctors and I've talked to patients, and so many patients, especially as they're aging, they go into the doctor's office, and we all know we don't get a lot of time with our physicians, right? It's true, we don't, but that's why we have nurses and people to talk to before we get in with the doctor. But so many patients I've talked to have said, I don't want to take their time. And I'm like, no, this is when you should.
That's what you're paying for.
Yeah. Write it down on a list and say, I can't leave until I get through these topics with you.
Absolutely.
It's that simple. And
my mom always told me to write things down.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to feel like, not only are you overwhelmed,
Right.
but you're overwhelming them. And if you go in with a list for whatever it is, whatever is ailing you or whatever you're worried about, it also kind of gives you that like protection, like a barrier. Like, I'm going to just read this. It's not as vulnerable
Right.
if you have something.
Only if you remember to take the list. Mom, I'm sorry. You're sorry about throwing you under the bus, Mom. No.
Well, and a lot of people also, they are afraid, or they've been conditioned to say, well, if I bring up that, I have that itch behind my ear, it's going to turn into cancer. Or, because there's always this catastrophizing of symptoms that we've been kind of taught that doctors are out to get your money. Like, there's so many stigmas on so many levels. But at the end of the day, this is your health.
Right.
And if you do want to live forever like I am, you have to talk to your doctors so they can, cryo-freeze you at the right time.
Well, there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.